We've been solving proportions for a minute here. So if you remember with proportions, you have a fraction equals a fraction. You cross multiply and set them equal to each other. So here we're going to do 100 times x. That is 100x equals 25 times 28, which is 700. That's 100 times x. So if you're trying to undo that multiplication, you would divide both sides by 100. And 700 divided by 100 is 7. Delightful. We come over here, we cross multiply. 52 times x is 52x equals 13 times 100 is 1300. Just like before, we'll divide by the 52 on both sides. 1300 divided by 52, 25. Great. That's it. We can solve proportions. So we're going to get into percents, parts, and wholes today. I think once you get comfortable with how things are set up with this, I think you'll find it very easy. There is a way to set this up with a proportion, but I think this way is significantly simpler, and I think you will like it. We're going to create what is called the percent t. So up top, we're going to put the part. We'll talk about that in a second. Bottom left, we're going to put the percentage, but we're always going to put it in decimal form. And then in the bottom right, we're going to put the whole. Now, the whole is the easiest thing to find because it always comes right after the word of. So let's sketch ourselves 3 little percent t's here for this problem. Boop. There's a t, and a t. So for this first one, we're just going to be finding the part for each one of them. Again, they're going to get mixed and matched, so it won't be like find the part every time or find the whole. You'll have to figure that out. So here's what I always recommend. Always look for the word of. Whatever comes directly after the word of is always the whole. So we're going to put the 245 in the whole spot. It's also pretty easy to see which one is the percentage because it will have a percentage sign with it. So 65% would be here, 65%. But we always want it in decimal form. Couldn't be easier to do. You move the decimal 2 places to the left. Otherwise, percentage, if you think of like your school percentage, is always out of 100. So you could do 65 divided by 100, and it'll give you 0.65. Great. So we are given 2 things that are right next to each other. What do you always do when 2 numbers are next to each other? Like if you had a 4 next to a 5, what are we doing with the 4 and 5? We're multiplying, right? So anytime you have the percent and the whole, you're just going to multiply them. You do it in your calculator. 0.65 times 245 equals, and you're done. So make sure you have 159.25. 159.25. That's it. It's always the percentage in decimal form times the whole. All right, so we look at B. 12.5% obviously is the percentage, but we need it in decimal form. So you either need to divide by 100 or just move the decimal 2 places to the left and it becomes 0.125. It says of, which means the next thing right after it is the whole. So 80 is the whole. We multiply 0.125 times 80, 10. That's it. So let's try this one. We look for the word of. Right after is the whole, 230. 43%. Ledoi, it's the percent, but we need it in decimal form. 43% is 0.43. 0.43 times 230, 98.9. Sick. So every one of those, we are finding the part. Let's see the next type of example. Now we're going to find the percentage. Okay, and again, they'll all be mixed in eventually, so you're going to have to know how to keep them separate. So let's set up our t's here. What percent of 60, so after the word of is always the whole, is 50? So 50 is going to go up top. It says what percent. We're looking for the percent. Now these two things are on top of each other. What do you always do when things are stacked on top of each other? What operation? You do division. So if I do 50 divided by 60, I get this decimal, 0.833333333. It repeats like that. So we're going to take it in decimal form, and then we're going to put it as a percentage. So earlier we took the percent, turned it into a decimal by going 2 places to the left. Now we're going to go 2 places to the right. This is 83.3%. That's one option. Otherwise, you can always just multiply by 100, which does the same thing. So let's try more. What percent of 250, so 250 is the whole, is 138? We're looking for what percent? So 138 divided by 250. The decimal I'm getting is 0.552. We're going to convert it back into a percentage. So either times 100 or move it 2 places to the right. 55.2%. And again, we'll get used to this and it'll go really quick for you. 14 is what percent of 15? 15 is the whole. We're looking for the percent here, so 14 is the part. If we divide 14 divided by 15, my calculator gives me 0.93333333. 0.9333. You could put the bar over it if you want. Usually it has us to round to the nearest tenth. So if we multiply by 100 or move the decimal twice, that'd be 93.3%. Wow! What a true delight. So we found the part, we found the percent. You know we're going to find the whole now, and then we'll do a real world example, and then we're mixing them all in, baby. Here we go. Let me set up our t's here. Not to tease you too bad. Oh, oh, goodness. $207 is 46% of what number? So remember, right after the word of is always the whole. So what number is the whole? That's the number we're looking for. So it's not going to say always, find the whole. You're going to have to figure out what they're asking for. So we're looking for the whole, which means 207 is going to be the part. 46% is obviously the percentage. We want it in decimal form. You could either move the decimal twice to the left or divide by 100. I'm hoping that at this point you could just move the decimal twice to the left. 46% is 0.46. These are stacked on top of each other, so we're going to divide. 207 divided by 0.46, 450. Done. Divide them. The big thing is like percent has to be in decimal form when you put it in the T. 19 is 75% of what number? So again, we're looking for the whole. The 19 is the part. 75% is the percent. We want it in decimal form. That's 0.75. And then they're stacked up top. So 19 divided by 0.75. We got 25.3333333. 25.3. You could round it there. You could put the bar over it. All is good. Last one, 310 is 99% of what number? So 99% is 0.99. 310 is going to be our part. And we're going to divide those. 310 divided by 0.99. I have 313.13131313. So if I round that to the nearest tenth, it'd be 313.1. We've done some of each type, 3 of each type in fact. Let's see what else we got. Ooh, a real world example. That's fun. Let me set up my percent T. And let's see what we've got. In 2000, The number of drive-in movie screens in the United States was about 78% of the number in 1990. About how many drive-in screens were there in 1990? Check this out, 78%. That's our percent, 0.78. I'm looking for the word of. It says of the number in 1990. So of is the whole. So in 1990, that's going to be our whole. The other thing they're talking about is the year 2000. So that would obviously have to be our part. So here's where the year 2000 is going. The whole is 1990. Let's look at the chart. They don't tell us what it was in 1990. That's our unknown. That's what we're trying to figure out. But 2000, they did give us. That was 717. So we have the part, we have the percent. They're stacked on top. We're going to divide them. 717 divided by 0.75. We got 956 drive-ins. Very fun. In 1990. 1990. I'm so youthful. I wasn't even around then. Come on. Oh, come on. All right, here we go. Now we're mixing, we're matching. We got 6 problems all over the place. All mixed up. I don't know what to do. Here we go. I'm going to set up my percent T's. And I'm always on your case like, hey, make sure you show your work. This is showing your work. It's staying organized with your numbers. I'm looking for of. Everything after of is the whole. What is 85% of 62? 62 is the whole. 85% has to be the percent. We want it in decimal form. That's 0.85. So here we are looking for the part. We have 2 things next to each other. We know we're going to multiply. 0.85 times 62, 52.7. 52.7. 9.96 is what percent of 10? 10 is the whole. We're looking for the percentage. Man, I can't stop coughing. We're looking for the percent. 0.96 is our part then. So we have some division, 0.96 divided by 10, and it's going to give us the decimal 0.096. Now if they're asking us what is that as a percent, we need to move that decimal 2 places to the right, whoop, or times 100. That means we got 9.6%. That was a little tough. 19.2 is 32% of what? It says of what, which means we are looking for the whole on this one. So the 32% is the percentage, but that is 0.32 in decimal form. 19.2 is the part, and they are stacked on top of each other, so we'll go ahead and divide those. 19.2 divided by 0.32, we got 60. Look at us! All right, last 3. What percent of 48, 48 is the whole, is 54? So we haven't had this happen yet, where we have a bigger number up in the numerator and a smaller number on the denominator. So if we divide 54 divided by 48, we get 1.125. That's the decimal version of it. But it's not 1.125%. To convert that to a percentage, you need to move it 2 places to the right. So this is really 112.5%. So thing to lock in the back of your brain. If your numerator is ever bigger than the denominator, it's over 100%. That's it. All right, what is 145.5% of 20? We need the decimal form of that. So we're going to move it 2 places to the left or divide by 100. That's 1.455. I see it says the word of, and then 20 is after it. That means 20 is the whole. So we're going to do some multiplication. 1.455 times 20, 29.1. Nice. 29.1. Make sure your answer makes sense. It's over 100%, so the numerator should be bigger. 29.1 is bigger than 20. All right, last one. 380 is 125% of what number? So we're looking for the whole, which means 380 is going to be the part. The 125% is the percentage. In decimal form, if we move it 2 places to the left, it becomes 1.25. Those are on top of each other, so we'll divide them. 380 divided by 1.25, 304. Great. So that is it as far as the notes. Let me see where we're at here. This should be the sheet that you are working on today. Why was the woman fired from the car assembly line? So let's find one of each type of problem and we'll do them together because we're just sweet like that. Let's do like the last, we'll find the last page. Let's start at 24 and we'll just make sure that we have one of each type of problem here. Find 38% of 250. Of 250, that means 250 is in the whole spot. 38%, le doy, it's the percentage. We want it in decimal form. 38% is 0.38. Those two things are next to each other, so we should probably multiply 0.38 times 250. We have 95. And that wasn't even bad. You know darn well that wasn't too bad. Let's see what we got for, well, that one we're also looking for the part. Let's do 22. 36 is what percent of 24? 24 is the whole. 36 would have to be the part then. We are looking for the percentage. So if you divide 36 divided by 24, we get the decimal 1.5. We have to convert that into a percentage. So you have to either multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 places to the right. If I move it once, it's 15, but we have to move it one more time. So really, this is going to be 150%. That one was pretty tricky. All right, we're going to have to go before these for, because we're looking, we want to do one where we're looking for the whole, so it should say like of what number. Number 14, that happens. 49 is 70% of what number? So it says of what number, we're looking for the whole. 70% is the percentage. In decimal form, that would be 0.70, which is also the same as 0.7. 49 would then be the part. So we are going to divide these. 49 divided by 0.7, whoops. We got 70. Look at that. You have one of each type of example already done on this sheet for you. Don't waste your time in here. Get some practice done. You got this. Help each other out.